What's the worst you've ever been cock-blocked, beaver damned?
Back when I was 18, just out of high school, was with this woman who I knew from HS who asked me to go with her back to her place, and she was not subtle about it at all. Friend of mine overheard this and stole her wallet. As if he didn't score, no one scored. Spent 2 hours looking for the wallet until she rang her sister to take her home. After he hands me the wallet and winks saying, "Better luck next time." Looking back, probably one of the biggest turning points of my life, as it showed me what kind of person he was.
The proper response to that would have been a prompt right hook to the jaw.
The worst is the time I cock-blocked myself. On my 21st birthday at my favorite club at university, I was dancing with a girl, and after kissing she asked me where I lived. At which point I noticed my friends had left, so I drunkenly made my excuses and went and found them in the chicken shop for some fried food to soak up the booze. Well done me.
On a lunch break in high school, and a girl who I had been flirting with quite a bit asked where I was going for lunch, and I responded, "My place." She then gave me a look and asked if she could join. We were just getting into the parking lot when a friend saw and ran over to ask if he could come. I felt awkward about the whole thing, so said sure. He then yelled shotgun to sit next to me on the drive to my place. I then proceeded to make them both grilled cheese and soup. Very disappointing lunch break.
So you co-blocked yourself really? Those ones hurt the most.
Yeah, basically. I tried to give him the F off look, but it didn't work. Was very thrown off that he even came up. It's a different level of unawareness that takes lol.
I was at a sorority party and this girl I was vibing with takes me by the hand and leads me upstairs to find a private spot. My friend sees this and literally grabs me halfway up the stairs and says, "We have to go," and drags me out of the party. I was pretty faded and trusted his judgment in the moment. We make it out to the street and I ask him, "What's going on?" He tells me he was saving me from hooking up with that girl who he felt was not up to par. I was so lit I didn't care, and then we proceed to wrestle out on the street as I am trying to go back inside. We never made it back inside the party.
Based on other people's stories, there's at least a 50% chance he's gay for you and was jealous.
My best friend, at the time, from high school to early 20s, would be terrible when we were around new guys or anyone she thought was cute. She was very flirty and loud, always needed all eyes on her. I was not, am still not that way. I was talking to a guy at a party. He seemed smart and genuine. We were talking about our favorite authors and she walked up and said, "I don't know why you're talking to her about this. She can't even read," and then she started flirting with him hard. So I walked away. I'm pretty sure they slept together.
F these piece of poo, best friends, like this. I had one. So glad she's gone.
I was at a party when I was about 19 with some of my high school friends at this house. I think the owner was a friend of a friend. Anyways, I start talking to this girl, she's super into me. We're talking all night and playing drinking games together, and she's basically attached to my hip. I feel real confident this is going somewhere. Before I could make my move, something happened and a few of my friends got kicked out of the party, so we all had to go. We're outside the house planning out next move, and the girl came with me, still attached to my hip. One guy in our group, who I didn't really know that well, was saying he just wanted to go home. He then looked at the girl who was with me and said, "Hey, can I go with you? Yeah, I'll get a ride with you." Yo guys, I found a ride. And the girl looked visibly uncomfortable by how this guy she had no interaction with and didn't know suddenly decided he was going home with her. She just very awkwardly muttered, "I'm gonna go," and did a 180 turn back to her friends in the party. The dude didn't even comprehend what he just did. I was so upset and really stopped hanging out with that dude after that.
My husband and I, before we got married, were taking advantage of the 20 minutes I had before I had to leave for work when someone knocked on our door. We didn't answer. Then we hear someone using a key to enter our home. It was my husband's old roommate, who I already effing despised, using his old key long after he'd moved out to welcome himself into our home to look for something he might have left in storage. I'm still mad.
I hope you at least promptly confiscated the key and/or changed the lock.
I was a huge bitch about it and he scurried off. It never happened again.
I was at the bar one night and had a girl into me. We started making out, somewhere out back, and I realized she was way too gone to consent. Told her as much. Bam. Diabetic seizure. Had to call an ambulance.
In high school I met a new girl on the bus, liked her immediately and got the same feel from her. I'm a slow mover, so was kinda easing into things when through the rumor mill I learned one of my oldest friends, since 5th grade, was also interested and had told others he would shoot me if he found me going around her moving forward. Got on this odd spot where I didn't want to be at odds with a guy I'd been having sleepovers with and gone on scout camping trips and all the other things we'd done together for years, and a girl I just met. So, in a calculated way, I decided to back off the girl, and since I knew this buddy was very fat and redneck minded, I'd let him shoot his shot, and when she turned him down I'd be golden with no hard feelings. Turns out he managed to get in there and was dating her, but was still so crazy jealous of me he never really talked to me again. A year later they had broken up and I got a call from her asking if I wanted to hang out. It's a long story, but we've been together for 20 years and married for 10.
You lost the battle but won the damn war.
I was dating a girl that was also on board the same Navy ship as I, at sea, and we were in a locked room getting a little frisky. I had just gotten inside her when the man overboard alarms go off. After the half hour it took to settle that out, we returned to the locked room to continue where we left off. Not 5 minutes later the alarm went off again because everyone on the ship took too long the first time, and apparently we needed to do it again. We gave up after the second time. Been married to her for 17 years now.
Nah, there was a camera in that room and your CO wanted to F with you.
This happened on Halloween one year in college. So I went to the bars and came back early as I wasn't feeling the party vibes. I met this random girl who was dressed in the same costume, but girl version, and we were both Luigi. Before you know it, she brought over her friends and my upstairs neighbor decided to join in and hang out with us in my apartment. Me and this girl were vibing, but my drunken neighbor decided to swoop in on her and sat himself right between us. They started chatting and he cut me out of the conversation, so I just decided to say F it, is what it is. Then they go to my bathroom to start hooking up and I picked up on that, and her friend had to use the bathroom, and I pointed her to the bathroom and they came out super awkwardly and went into my room. That's when I got pissed. I was like, oh hell no. So I confronted him and told him, if y'all two wanna do the deed, bring her back to your apartment with your GF there, and he got quiet. He took her outside and she came back pissed, understandably so. Then as she was trying to get her friends to leave, one was all doped up on Ambien or some poo, and tried to borrow my shoes. And this part still sticks in my memory. One of the girls of this group stood up above the rest as they were all chatting amongst each other, and the doped up one trying to get my shoes, and clapped her hands and said, "Ladies, rise." And all of them simultaneously stood up without missing a beat and left my apartment. Then after all this had went down, my roommate comes out of his room, who had been home this whole time and I didn't know it, said, "Hey, what's going on?" And I asked him, "Did you not hear any of that?" His reply, "Nah, I had my headphones on playing League of Legends." Still one of the weirdest nights of my life. Edit, this happened my first year as a transfer student at a new college. Edit 2, sorry for my grammatical errors. Edit 3, this happened at the Good Ole University of Oregon.
Me and my ex were having a morning quickie before work, and just as things were starting up our roommate banged on the door freaking out because there was a roach in her bathroom and she needed me to kill it. Mood was dead when I returned, lol.
I got distracted in foreplay once by a wolf spider on the wall. I unfortunately then made the mistake of pointing it out. She freaked out and proceeded to turn a light on. It then ran down the wall behind the headboard. Freak out doubled. Mistakes were made.
I will share my own. I was living in my college dorm on campus and had met a girl at a party earlier that night. We headed back to my dorm room and we were making out when suddenly the fire alarm went off. When we stepped out of the dorm, there was water flooding down the elevator and stairs from 2 floors above. Some drunk idiot decided to punch one of the sprinklers and broke it off the wall, flooding from the 6th floor down and causing over $1 million in damages. The girl left back to her own dorm in a different building on campus, and I had to stay with a friend for 3 days while they did disaster cleanup. The person who broke the sprinkler was expelled from the university and had to pay the insurance deductible for the building, which totaled to about $150,000. This was only a month into his first year of college. Never met up with that girl again. Edit, this happened at the University of Regina in Saskatchewan, Canada.
Was at a bar and a woman starts coming up to me and we start chatting. Woman is clearly interested in me and is kissing me and whispering sweet nothings into my ear, so I ask her if she wants to go for a walk on the beach and she agrees. Right as we are leaving the bar, a man walks up and asks what we are doing. Bear in mind neither of us knew who he was. We tell him we are going for a walk on the beach and he promptly decides to join us for our walk and literally does not leave our side for the next 2 hours. I wanted to explode.
In high school my friend threw a house party, and when me and my boyfriend retired to the guest room, some friends rolled up a big-ass speaker to the door and played Can You Feel the Love Tonight? Then proceeded to go through the entire Lion King soundtrack. Edit to add. No, we did not F that night, LMAO. Performance anxiety is a real bitch.
That's perfect sex music.
It would have been if it wasn't so loud it shook the door, LMAO.
My girlfriend and I were quietly trying to get it going one night, and my roommate's boyfriend decided to leave his laptop loudly playing the sound of a baby crying outside my bedroom to shut off our libidos. I'm still fairly certain this is because he and my roommate weren't having sex yet, and it was his way of taking it out on us.
He had me tied up in his bedroom for some kinky fun. His toddler daughter, who we had put to bed an hour earlier and made sure she was sound asleep, came bursting through the door screaming, "Poop," because she was potty training and would yell that when she had to go. Now I'm tied up and gagged. He's in the bathroom getting ready. She is pooping her diaper and thinking we're playing some game. We did not have sex that night.
Imagine being hog-tied and having a toddler doing that pop face where they stare through your soul.
My boyfriend and I were planning to ride our motorcycles a few hours north to a little touristy town, eat at our favorite Mexican restaurant, and spend the weekend in an old-fashioned lakeside motel. I told a friend of mine about this plan the morning before we left. That evening, when boyfriend and I are seated at the restaurant and enjoying our meal, suddenly said friend appears beside our table. She had hitchhiked 250 miles to get there, in spite of the fact that she had not been invited to join us. She also had no money on her, and no way of getting back home. So we reluctantly let her spend the weekend with us. If this were to happen to me now, I would have no problem politely yet assertively telling my friend that she would not be joining us on our weekend getaway. But at the time I was like 22 years old and still had a lot to learn about standing up for myself with people who have no sense of boundaries.
Wow, what went through her mind to think that any of that was a good idea?
I had really hit it off with this lady in a bar in Hawaii in my late 20s. We were talking all night and enjoying drinks. One thing led to another and we ended up making out. Then some lady taps me on the shoulder and very indignantly yells, "Stephen, how dare you cheat on your wife like this while she's sick in the hotel? I'm disgusted with you," and storms off. My name isn't Stephen, nor was I married or even dating anyone at the time.
Somewhere else in the hotel, poor Stephen is trying to explain to his sick wife he didn't try to cheat on her.
My brother used to regularly enter my room when I was with my high school boyfriend. Several times we were in the throes. He would just barge in, and effing stand there. We were naked under the covers, so we would just scream at him until he left, which made him laugh and made us angrier. Thankfully this was 10 years ago. My brother is much more considerate and the boyfriend is now an ex. But it still pisses me off to think about. Edit. I envy those of you who had locks on your bedroom doors. It's not really the norm for rented units, in my experience.
My brother did the exact same thing, except sometimes he would shoot me, my hookup, with a Nerf gun squarely in the forehead before leaving.
Back in high school, a girl asked me out and I mindlessly replied that I have no time since I have a World of Warcraft raid in the afternoon. 15 years later, I still think about this. She was the prettiest girl in class and I actually liked her. Why did I crush her like that? I don't know.
Pro gamer move.
Camrose, Alberta, Doug and the Slugs concert. I was in the taxi with the cute girl and her friends. My piece of poo friend pulled me out and made me wait with him and the others waiting for taxis. One thing led to another and the next thing you know I am in a flagpole climbing contest. I broke the pole, nearly my back too, got arrested, and never saw the cute girl again. F you, Adam.
Oh boy, Camrose. I spent a month there one night.
Out with a group of friends and I started chatting up a little cutie that came with another guy's GF. It was going well. She even said something about me going with her to make an appearance at some friend's party across the street so we could keep the convo going. One of my younger buddies walked over to talk to me and said something in his stupid Scottish accent, and that was pretty much it. She swooned and started talking to him and I accepted defeat.
Damn those Scots and their sexy ass accents.
Got cock-blocked by an NFL special teams coordinator. Was sitting at a bar I was a regular at when an attractive young woman sat next to me. To my shock, she initiates a conversation with me. I'm pretty reserved and keep myself for the most part. Before long we have a great conversation with a great vibe. We were sitting in the last 2 seats where there was a corner. A guy sitting in one of the chairs around the corner works his way into our conversation. Then he introduces himself as the newly hired special teams coordinator for the local NFL team. Not gonna lie, he was a pretty good-looking guy in his mid-40s and fit. I'm immediately like, well, I'm screwed. To my second shock, he's like hyping me up. He doesn't even know me, but he's definitely being a wingman. He's also talking about how much he misses his wife and kids. How he's looking for a house in town. Since he's married and seemingly hyping me up, I'm like, this like my chance to get girl's number randomly at the bar. Rarely happens for me. Then I stepped out to smoke, and when I came back he's taken my chair. Has his arm around her, and the dynamic is completely different. I think she was a little starstruck. I tried to recover as much as possible, but it just felt like I was trying too hard at that point. They ended up leaving together. He started hanging out at the bar during that off-season, and at one point invited a bartender to his apartment nearby to borrow a book he recommended. She agreed, but apparently he wouldn't let her leave for a bit afterward. Dude was, probably still is, a total creep. This was over 10 years ago and he's still a coach in the league. His name pops up for head coaching jobs occasionally. I always cringe when his name comes up. "FU Coach Cockblock, aka Book Club," as the bar staff referred to him.
There was a local musician I had a thing for. Went to see him play one night with a good friend. On his way out, he forgot something, so I grabbed it and ran into the parking structure to take it to him. We started talking and somehow, I ended up sitting on the back bumper of his truck, caged in by his hands on the tail. Not in a creepy way, in a very intense, attraction way. He's talking about a party at his house for a friend's birthday and how he should be leaving, as he's leaning toward, and our mouths are right ing close. And my friend comes out of the club, screeches my name and yells, "You better not be hooking up with name in the parking structure, you bitch," and laughs. Cue record screech, * mood broken. Never got another chance with him again. He ended up marrying and divorcing some girl he met on a world tour and then moved out of state to find himself.
That bitch. That should have been you that got married and divorced to him.
I remember getting invited to a party where I didn't know anyone except the 2 people I came with. Spend the night vibing with a cute girl, finally invite her up to the roof with me. As we're literally walking out the door, some asshole screams, "Hey, where are you going with him? He's totally gonna try and hook up with you." The girl gets all embarrassed and avoids me the rest of the night. I ended up in some dude's room playing Rock Band with 3 other guys trying to avoid the main party.
Dude tried to ball and got cheese.
Myself. Banging my girlfriend, now wife, from behind when her hand slipped off the bed and she caught herself with her teeth on the nightstand. Knocked out a tooth. No happy ending. She looks great now though.
She didn't look great before this incident.
In high school, 16 years old, I invited a couple of girls over to my best friend's place for some good drinks, Jägermeister and beer, and loud music, death metal, since his parents were out of town. One girl was someone I'd known for years and the other was her friend whom I had never met. So they get there and we start drinking and talking and doing that whole thing. Well, later on, me and the girl I'd known for years start making out. We head to my homie's bedroom because I have no shame and we start taking clothes off. My best friend was sitting in his living room still chatting up the friend. About the time I whip out the hog, her friend practically kicks in the door, screams, "You are not effing him," grabs her, drags her out of the room, and they leave in her car. It happened in like 15 seconds. I swear the FBI could take lessons from that girl. I'm still sitting on the bed like, WTF just happened? I look at my friend and ask him practically that same thing. He tells me that he went to his car to grab his condoms for me. What a bro, right? When he came in with the box of condoms, her friend looked at them, got pissy, and that's when she got up and everything went down. Years later he got back in touch with that friend via social media. He asked her about that night. Turns out the friend was gay and still in the closet. She had a major crush on the girl I was hooking up with, and was just being possessive. So, yeah, cock blocked by a closeted lesbian in my best friend's bed. Not how I planned on my night ending.
That's a double whammy co-block clam jam combo.
You know, I never thought about what that car ride out was like for her. I wonder if she was also sitting there like, WTF just happened, while her friend drives with the skill and speed that only years of repressed sexuality and jealous fury can provide.
I used to have a hugely sexually tense friendship with one girl in school. I'll call her M. I met her when I was about 14 and remained in contact for years after. All through our years in school we'd flirt, hint at things, exchange pleasantries etc., but then she got another BF and I went my own way. Fast forward a bit and we're at a house party of a mutual friend who I'll call Nick. Nick was also a female who I kinda fancied at the time, and we all get a bit drunk. The night goes on and I'm spending a lot of time with M. The combination of angst built up throughout the years and suddenly seeing her again, we hit it off. I be a little disrespectful and I head upstairs to Nick's parents' bedroom since they're not home for the weekend. M and I are getting down, she's absolutely wild in the sack and I'm loving every minute of it. We're about to proceed to base 4 when her phone rings. F knows why she answered or why I didn't slap that poo away, but it was her ex. Her sobbing ex begging her to stop what she was doing. At the time, I had no idea what was going on, but was dehydrated as F, so I left the bedroom still completely naked and half-masked downstairs, and I see Nick sat on the floor outside the door. It was the longest 2-second stare of my life. I head into the bathroom and get some water, then when I leave I see my clothes outside the closed door. It took me years, and a second Reddit thread for me to learn that Nick had seen us go upstairs and she effing ratted on us to the ex-boyfriend so he would phone M. I got proxy co-blocked. Proxy blocked. Edit. Since I didn't link it. This thread, link.
I dated a guy that lives in California. I live in Canada. I would stay in California for a few months of every year. We met in 2017. I flew to California to visit him that year and stayed with him successfully. I came back to Canada and went back to visit him again in 2018. But this time I was pulled aside by customs. I was questioned, interviewed and had my luggage ripped apart. The customs officer looked through my phone and read all of my private messages and emails between my boyfriend and I. After hours and hours of waiting without any food or water, he determined that I was not allowed into the US. He told me that he was suspicious I was going to stay permanently and not go back to Canada. So I was sent back to Canada. When I got home I bought another ticket and a few days later I was on another plane and successfully made it into the US. I stayed for 3 months, and repeated another 3-month visit in 2019 as well. Shout out to Minneapolis Airport and the customs agent who was the biggest cockblock ever. Or more accurately I guess I should say beaver dam. I also didn't get refunded for my flights or hotel rooms that I had booked.
Was just starting to do stuff with my boyfriend the other night and my roommate starting banging on the door. Our dogs slipped through the fence and we had to chase them around for half an hour.
I was having sex with my girlfriend at the time and her mum walked in on us and goes, "Oh God," and slammed the door shut. Safe to say the mood was ruined lol.
We called it cock blocking and twat swatting back in my day. First time vacationing back to home state in 2 years and had a solo 3-hour car ride with a college fling planned but never happened due to having to give another friend a ride back with us. His ride cancelled because I was going back anyway. Her and I had been fantasizing about this car ride for a while only for it to never happen. Ever.
My father very purposefully cock-blocked my best friend in high school, I'll call him CJ. Growing up my dad was very proper, focused on manners, wouldn't tolerate swearing, etc. As I got older and into high school he started to loosen up and became more of a pal. This really accelerated as he got to know my friends. It's senior year, the after-grad party, and my dad is an absolute bro and offers to DD for us, all night, no matter how late. We ended up calling at about 2 a.m. My dad, the bro that he is, hauled his ass an hour into the countryside to pick up CJ and I, both absolutely hammered. When he arrived, I can't find CJ anywhere. After asking around I hear 2 girls took him to a bedroom. I text him, no response. After confirming he could stay the night with the host, I get into my dad's car. I tell my dad where CJ is. "There's no way I'm letting CJ have a threesome before I do," is his response as my 60-year-old married father steps out of the car, walks through the party, and presents himself to the bedroom to explain to 2 girls and one very frustrated CJ that he had promised CJ's mum to get him home safely and won't be leaving without him. Once in the car, CJ, who has never said even a slightly off-kilter remark to my parents, sighs and lets out, "Dad's name, you effing cockblock." My dad didn't bat an eye and bought us fries on the way home. Edit, my first platinum and I owe it to my dad. I'll be buying him a beer. Maybe CJ too. Thanks. Edit 2, a little late for this one, but wanted to respond to a few comments saying my dad ruined an experience for CJ or was being a DK. I can see how that comes across. But if you knew my dad, his relationship with CJ, and how he truly was just trying to get us home safely, you'd probably see it the way we do. CJ and him were laughing and joking about it on the ride home, and have continued to the past few years as it's become a favorite story. It was the kind of relationship my dad had with my friends, and at the end of the day, we had asked him to pick us up in the middle of the night, made him wait half an hour, and he wasn't going to wait longer for CJ to get busy past 3 a.m. There were no hard feelings.
Greater than, there's no way I'm letting CJ have a threesome before I do, is his response as my 60-year-old, married, father steps out of the car. I laughed so effing hard at this line.
He's a goldmine for the one-liners and dad jokes. I had a date, it went well, we had a few drinks on my way driving her home. She's like, oh hey, looks like you had too much to drink, you shouldn't drive home, and I'm like, PFFT, I'm fine. I'll drop you off at home and then text you when I get home.
I gave this a like just for the phrase beaver damned. Haha. Never heard of it before. Thank you for watching. We upload new videos every day, so be sure to come back for more fun. Please consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed the video.